Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Gurureva Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So we just saw what was the way to synthesize the avidya and vidya and then reach the reality. The path of meditation and the path of action, they are not independent of each other. They are one whole. And just like the mother and the daughter and the wife, they are not separate entities. They are a part of one whole. And within that whole, these two are expressing themselves, isn't it? Same way, this the path of meditation and path of action cannot be pursued independently. They must be pursued in conjunction with each other, and we have seen what are the pitfalls if we follow them individually, and what are the advantages, and what is the advantage? That you reach the immortality. But path of action purifies, the path of meditation takes you beyond the limitations and establishes the transcendental. Now the same thought is being presented here in the 12th verse. Andham tama pravishanti ye sambhuti mupasate tato bhuya ivate tamo ya u sambhutya gangrataha. So here, how do we, every person who listened to the previous 3 verses may not have become very clear. Everything must not have clicked with knowledge and ignorance and this and that. Yes, and maybe they have become clear also. Yes, it's possible. But by these 3 verses, another, affirmation about the same idea is being given, so that a seeker becomes established in this idea that was presented. So here it says, they fall into blind darkness who worship the unmanifest. They fall as though into greater darkness who devote themselves to the manifest. So before it was told, they fall into the darkness who follow the path of avidya, ignorance, karma, all say the same thing, and they fall into the path of even greater darkness. Those who follow the path of vidya is equal to knowledge, is equal to path of meditation. By itself. By itself. So what did we see there? We synthesized both of them together. So here also they are saying, if you follow the path of unmanifest, what is unmanifest? We will see. You go into darkness. And those who follow the path of manifest, they go into greater darkness. Now what is unmanifest and manifest? So now the 3 mantras, 12, 13 and 14, they are here to deal with this. Now here again we can take the manifest and unmanifest as Uh, hmm? Unmanifest is asambhuti and manifest is sambhuti. The unmanifest would be, instead of taking the ignorance and instead of taking the knowledge, here the words used are unmanifest and manifest. Unmanifest is that which is the... Now, ignorance was the cause of vidya, isn't it? Ignorance was the cause of knowledge. Is that correct statement? Is ignorance the cause of knowledge? Relative knowledge. Yes or no? All the knowledge that you gain through your equipments. Through equipments. What is the equipment? The knowledge is not at the level of body. The senses, the perception is one type, very gross knowledge. The second is the mental knowledge. And the third is the intellectual knowledge. The ideas, concepts, everything. It's born out of ignorance. It's born out of ignorance. And this is your experience. Every morning when you get up out of the sleep, in sleep there is nothing. You are ignorant of that bliss. That is the bliss sheath. In Panchadashi also we did the same thing. From the bliss sheath came the intellectual sheath, isn't it? The causal body, if we divide our personality into three bodies, the physical body, the subtle body and the causal body. Causal body, the name itself implies, is the cause of the subtle body and the physical body. And causal body, if we take these 5 sheaths, then the bliss sheath is the causal body. The deep sleep state is the causal body, is the expression of the causal body. From that came the intellect, from that came the mind, from that came the body. Without a concept of body, body will not be body. So all knowledge came out of ignorance. So here when it says that the unmanifest and the manifest, we can take it as manifest as our personal gods. Because what is manifest? That which has name and form, right? So when we meditate upon the manifest, so meditate upon Buddha, meditate upon Christ, meditate upon a cross, meditate upon Rama, Krishna, Shiva, Devi. And what is the unmanifest? Self is unmanifest.
Yes. Because that hasn't been born, it doesn't have a beginning or end.
Unmanifest is opposite of
Manifest.
manifest. And where is the self? Does it come under manifest or unmanifest?
Unmanifest.
Does it?
The unmanifest would be the causal body.
So the unmanifest, the self is the result of causal body.
No.
Then
Unmanifest hasn't been born, and it doesn't have a birth or doesn't have an end. Death.
so you mean to say the self can become manifest?
No. How I see unmanifest is it hasn't been born. That doesn't mean it will be born.
Okay.
So
So it is transcending both manifest as well as unmanifest.
yeah.
Okay. Self is transcending both. But here we are talking about unmanifest. What is unmanifest? The bliss sheath, the causal body. So if you contemplate on the causal body, that I am not the body, I am not the breath, I am not the mind, I am not the intellect, and then I go into the bliss sheath. Bliss sheath is where the Kundalini path takes you. Big danger. Because bliss sheath, the joy of Kundalini rising at the lower chakras is less compared to the joy that you experience at the heart chakra, then the throat chakra, then the Agya chakra. Immense joy. But those are all expressions of the bliss sheath. We don't want to go in there. So what do? We catch the witness at the intellectual sheath. Anyway, I'm not going to go into that here. The topic is manifest and unmanifest. Is there anything for you to hold on to in the unmanifest? No. There is nothing to hold on to in the unmanifest. A man can get into a trance-like state. A man can get into an imaginary so-called meditation. A lot of people get into that. And that is the danger. And even greater danger is when you get identified and consider that a particular form is my God and that alone is the reality. That is even greater danger. This is what is being told here. So here there is a controversy whether jnana or bhakti, whether knowledge or devotion is greater. Should we follow the path of knowledge or should we follow the path of devotion? The Upanishad here is telling us that again these two have to be taken as complementary to each other. Bhagavad Gita's commentary by Adi Shankaracharya, Bhagavad Pad, clearly indicates that. We are not, in Vedanta, we are not against anything. Because what is the definition of Vedanta? And one way of putting it, that which includes everything and excludes nothing. That is Vedanta. And that Veda Anta, Veda means the words, Anta means the end. Where the words end, that is the self, that is the Atman, that is the truth, reality. So we don't want to, everything has to fall into the right perspective according to Vedanta. We can't take only this path or only that path, nothing like that. There is a place for everything. So what happens with Jnana and Bhakti? If we pursue them individually, if you pursue Bhakti without understanding, if you pursue devotion without understanding, you become fanatic. If you pursue knowledge without devotion, you become arrogant. You become a professor. So majority of the religions want to keep everyone stupid. Because I say so, not allowed to inquire. Because the moment knowledge comes, this fellow will not stick around. He will become a mystic. He will become a seeker. They don't want seekers. They want slaves who listen to them and don't answer to them. Answer back. They don't want to allow independent inquiry. It should be only this way. No. So here, when we see the path of knowledge and the path of bhakti, if you follow one without the other, I just told you what are the repercussions. But when you follow them in synthesis with each other, they are complementing each other. And there also it says, Bhagavad Pada Shankaracharya has given the commentary on Ishavasya also. Here also he says that devotion makes our mind single-pointed. And again, a single-pointed mind can sustain attention on that goal which transcends everything. Om Purnamada Purnamidam. And then through knowledge we transcend. Through bhakti we cannot transcend. But bhakti is required why? devotion is required. Why? Because to think about the unthinkable, you will lose the plot. People, we were just talking about unmanifest before. You can't think of unmanifest. Lord, infinite, as she said, is also unmanifest. But that which does not have space, name and form, how do you think about it? No words can reach it. The enthusiasm will wane after some time. I think I'm wasting my time. How can it be? Suppose these scriptures, what are these scriptures? Nothing but words. It has a name, it has a form, isn't it? Words have a form. If these were not there and you just keep thinking, how can you think of the self if you don't have? So what happens in a seeker is, first was the action, that is okay, but now here when we take knowledge and devotion, through devotion on a personal, on a personal God, he makes his mind single pointed. And through that, then he understands the nature of the personal God, the essence of the personal God is transcendental. That it is actually, his essence is without form. So then he contemplates on that. But that contemplation, which is subtler than contemplation on the manifest God with form, so the training is with the form, and then you go beyond form through knowledge. And how do you go beyond form with knowledge? By understanding that this reality is the all-pervasive, omniscient, eternal. Now same idea is again presented in the 13th verse. Anya devahu sambhavat, anya dahura sambhavat, iti shushrumadhiranam, yena sta vichachakshire. One thing they say is verily obtained from the worship of the manifest. Another thing they say from the worship of the unmanifest. Thus we have heard from the wise who have explained to us. Again, like in the previous verse, first the avidya and vidya was taken, ignorance and knowledge was taken, and then they said there is confusion about it, but this is how my teacher taught me. And he told what are the pitfalls, what are the repercussions, and how to deal with these two ideas that are presented to us, paths that are presented to us. So here again he is saying the same thing, that iti shushrumadhiranam, this is how the wise people say. They say, and we have heard from the wise who have explained to us that the worship of the manifest gives you one thing, worship of the unmanifest gives you one thing, but both of them have to be taken as complementary to each other. Now again, the first thought that in these three verses, from the 12th verse, that thought is again repeated. Sambhutim cha vinasham cha yastad vedo bhayagam saha vinashena mrityum tirtva sambhutyamrudamashnute. He who worships the impersonal Godhead and the personal God together overcomes death through the worship of the personal and obtains immortality through the worship of the impersonal. So here a beautiful thing is being said. Lot of people think Vedanta is only about the impersonal God, that one without a second, again and again, isn't it? And it is true, it is no doubt. But if we may use this word complete realization is when you do not deny the world and yet know the essence of the world. The illusion is not the world. The changing aspect of the world is the illusion. Your superimposition on this world, looking at a woman and calling her the mother, that is the illusion. Looking at the space and calling it a room space, that is the illusion. Space is neither room space nor toilet space. is just space. So when we come to the substratum of the world, then world remains the world, and we don't get caught up in it. We are able to transcend it. And that is being that is going to be told here, that he who worships impersonal Godhead, that means God without. There are many places. If you go to Chidambaram, no? You are going there? No.
I don't know.
Chidambaram is a place in South India. There are quite a few Shiva temples, Tanjore, Rameshwaram and all that. So for seeing, hearing, touching, feeling, tasting. So the 5 elements, space, air, fire, water, earth. For 5 elements there are 5 Shiva lingas there. And this Chidambaram is the empty space. There is no statue inside, only emptiness. And they pray to that. See? So here, this is the way Adi Shankaracharya and others have explained, it is a very tricky to put into words. I'll do my best and hope that you understand it in the right vein. So here when it says, Sri Shankara takes Sambhuti to mean the primordial matter and Asambhuti as the Karya effect, the Saguna Brahman. So the personal Godhead and the impersonal, the condition, and this way these are to be practiced in a serial, one after the other. You cannot contemplate on the impersonal before the personal. You have to contemplate on the personal before the impersonal, what I said before. First contemplate on the Lord with form, the reality with form, you can contemplate on the nature, and then by making your mind single pointed on it, then you contemplate on the essence behind, the source, the one which is transcending this manifest. And here it says, devotion to a personal God with a form and name is as much important for the higher meditation, since continuous and intense meditation upon the formless reality is necessary for the greater realization of the self. Tell me one thing, and this is going to be your experience right now. Before also I have mentioned this point, that instead of putting your attention on the forms that are there in this room, put the attention on emptiness. How long are you able to maintain that attention on emptiness? Are you able to? If I want to keep my attention on the space between, how long? Somewhere along the way, after a few seconds, 1 second, 2 seconds, suddenly her face comes. Or suddenly the book shape comes. Some form comes up. How long are you able to maintain non-appearance of forms? Not for too long. So to contemplate on the formless, it's a very, very difficult task indeed. But that is the goal. That is the goal. So what do? You contemplate on the something with form and build up, prepare your mind to stay with that form for a long period of time. Like here we have come, we are staying with the Upanishad for 2.5 days. We have all come, we are in a particular environment, we are there, you have faith that whatever the teacher is going to say is going to be correct, he is not taking us for a ride. So that faith is there, so you are here. All those ingredients are there. So for 2.5 days you are here. How long are you able to stay with this Upanishad on your own? Very difficult, isn't it? Very difficult. I'm just showing you that even with something with form, it is very difficult to stay for a long time. You have to cultivate that habit. You may love the Buddha statue. Keep looking at it. How long will you keep looking at it? After some time you will get tired. It cannot be done in one go. Slowly, slowly, the love, the devotion, the what it stands for, the values that it stands for, the principles that Buddha stands for, you keep remembering them and keep thinking about it, keep contemplating about it without closing your eyes initially. Don't try to imagine Buddha in your mind. No, first outside. And over days, months, years, these people are sitting there for 6 months. They are doing it every day. How fortunate. So it takes time. And a point comes automatic. Once your attention has become single pointed on the form, automatically that form transfers itself in your mind. Automatically. Then you close your eyes and you can't get rid of that form. That form is there. Huh? It will always be there. Then you start, now first you have to come to this hall, drive all the way, then sit and meditate on it. Now you don't have to go anywhere. Wherever you are, there the form is. It's with you all the time, by His grace. And then what starts happening? All the qualities of that form start expressing through you. But you don't want that. You don't want to go in that direction. Now you have learnt how to stay with that form for a long period of time. You have learnt how to sustain attention on a particular form, isn't it? Now you ask in your mind, what is the essence of this form? I understand that Buddha is all pervasive, but the picture that I am seeing, it doesn't seem to be all pervasive. Krishna is all pervasive, but he has 2 legs, 2 hands, head and everything, but I see it's like just like me. I don't see it as all pervasive. Then Krishna must be the essence behind that form, isn't it? So you contemplate on that. There's nothing to hold there, but you are thinking about it. Now this mind has learned how to sustain attention on a particular thought. Now the thought is shifting from the form to the formless. And within the few moments of contemplating on that formless, the formless reveals. And what is that formless form? That is the self. I'll give you another way of looking at it. We sit in meditation. We have been doing meditation. To straight away think about the unthinkable, straight away, it's impossible, the mind has not been quietened. So what do? We begin from where we are. Where are we? We are at the world. We learn how not to be disturbed by the world, and we also don't disturb the world. Then where are we? We are at the body. Then we do not get disturbed by the body, nor do we disturb the body. How? By parking it. And pull the hand gear. And the car is parked. The ignition is off. To put the ignition off, you come to the pranamaya kosh, the energy. So that also is quietened down. It's like putting off the ignition now. So first the car came, it got parked. The parking brake is on. But the engine was still running. And now, once you have parked, then the ignition, that's what we do. We park the car, we put the ignition off. So we have put the ignition off. Then what do? You continue sitting in the car. Huh? Open the door and go. Car was only a vehicle to get somewhere. So same way we come here to the seat of meditation, we park it, we put the ignition off by focusing our attention on the mind or on the breath, and then what do? Go to something subtler than the breath. What was that? Chanting of Om. Because to straight away deal with the mind without having dealt with the world properly, without having dealt with the body properly, without having dealt with the breath properly, to come and deal with the mind is an impossibility. It will not become quiet that easily. It's not an impossibility, it is possible for some. But we are not one of those. Never think that you are. Because over-enthusiasm, overconfidence will also lead to destruction. So what we do? Because the breath has slowed down, the mind has slowed down. Now in that mind, because of so many thoughts, we introduce one thought which represents the reality. What is that thought? Om. Does Om have a name? It has a sound, isn't it? Does it have a form? Yes, it has a form. It doesn't have any other form, but it has a form, isn't it? So now you are not thinking about the form, but you are calling the name out again and again, isn't it? Name and form. So form is given up, the name is still there. And you keep chanting Om, 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 and you are not allowing any other name to come and interfere. What is happening over a period of time? It will not happen in one go. Over a period of days and months. What is happening? Your ability to sustain a single pointed attention on Om, the duration is increasing, isn't it? So when you come to the seat of meditation, automatically, like I used to take my mantra, the moment I used to touch my mala, my rosary, immediately the mantra will begin. All I have to do is touch and it will start. Because that's the connection that got created after years of practice. Now I don't have to sit in the morning and keep doing, no. All I have to do is touch. The moment I touch, the mantra begins. The moment you think of the moment a form comes into the room, immediately in your mind, my daughter. You don't have to practice, you have practiced it enough now. So it's spontaneous. Same thing is happening here. So the name is still there. Now what is happening? When we say mind is chanting Om again and again and again, now what is our instruction on the seat of meditation? Find the source of Om, isn't it? Where is it arising from? Where is it merging back? And automatically what is happening between the two Oms? There is empty space. So if we can say Om is the manifest and between the Oms is the unmanifest. There is nothing to hold on to in that unmanifest, in that gap, isn't it? In our norm, if we just contemplate on the unmanifest, every day we do that, contemplate on the unmanifest. But what happens? No, we go to sleep. We go to sleep, isn't it? Now, by practicing contemplation on Om, thinking about Om again and again and again and what its connotations are, that it is represented in the reality and the world, etc., etc., and it goes even beyond, that idea is there because we have studied Vedanta. We have studied the Upanishads. Now our mind is single pointed enough to hold on to that Om for, say, n number of minutes. The sustenance is there, to ability to stay with a particular thought. Now, when we are in the gap, we continue to maintain that awareness. We continue to maintain that awareness. And what did we say? Mind without thoughts is consciousness, not single point, consciousness. Mind without thoughts is consciousness. So now what are you accessing? You are accessing unmanifest, but you are aware. It's all over. There and then everything happens. Whatever has to unhappen, that happens.
Can you explain that a bit more? Whatever happens and unhappens, or
Getting the whole idea from if you just contemplate on the manifest, whatever that manifest represents, qualities, values, etc., they will become yours. When you contemplate only on the unmanifest, without preparation, what happens to you every day? Sleep. You go into ignorance. You are not able to sustain it. You are not able to remain awake in that unmanifest. But when we take them both together and use the one to develop the skills, and with those skills we go to the unmanifest, then we are able to transcend the both. Because presence in the absence, unmanifest is the absence. Unmanifest is the absence. In that absence, the presence is the wakefulness, the alertness, the consciousness, the one who's aware of that. That is the reality. But aware of what? Can you be aware of darkness? Sorry, emptiness? We have never tried. Why? Because every time we try, we go to sleep. Nobody has experienced nothingness. We only know nothingness as an opposite of somethingness, isn't it? So when on the seat of meditation, we have removed all the somethingnesses and only one something is left. And that is Om, and that also starts subsiding. Or between the two somethingnesses, we catch the gap, the nothingness. In that nothingness, we remain awake, because out of habit in a general life, we can't remain awake in nothingness. Either we go into trance, or we become unconscious, or we are in coma, but we have to remain conscious. That ability to remain conscious when all thought eruptions have subsided, is the realization. And therefore, when we are only contemplating on the unmanifest, maximum what happens? You go into ignorance. Ignorance is bliss. When you go only after the manifest, that means go after nature or go after God, personal God, Buddha, Krishna, Rama, so and so. Why it is even greater darkness? Because when you go to them, their qualities start expressing through you, and you are still caught up in this world. You have not transcended the world. Those forms are a part of this creation. And you continue in this creation. Birth, death, birth, death, birth, death, birth, death. There is no end. There is n number of Ramas who have been born. There is n number of Krishnas are born. N numbers of Buddhas are born. N numbers of Christ are born in every cycle of life. Keeps repeating itself. You will also repeat. But we want to transcend everything. And that is what is, without getting caught up in the various words that are given here. Sambhuti, here if we take Sambhuti as the primordial matter, and Asambhuti as the Brahman. I've used, those words are used, but we are taken as personal God and impersonal God. And that,
Oh, sorry.
in that manner I have explained the whole thing. And yes, say.
I thought that if a bhakta totally surrendered to their personal God, surrendered themselves completely, that it did have the same as
Knowledge has to express. Without knowledge it will not happen.
I thought that the two came.
He may go into trance.
I thought that the person.
Going to the abode of a god, going to the lokas, going to higher worlds, Brahmalo, Saket, where Rama lives, to heaven where Jesus is, to what do you call Kailash where Shiva is. These are all trance-like states.
I thought that if the person totally surrendered their own identity.
Yes, true.
I thought that, and also that the person who.
But surrendered your own identity, the ego entity, you have surrendered to the personal God. Then what has happened?
But there is no personal identity left.
Your personal identity is not left,
No.
but you have become one with the God. God is a part of creation. You are still caught up in creation.
Because, yes, well then I
Because Brahmaji, he lives for so many millions of years, the creator. But his day is equal to 100 celestial years. It equal to 4.32 million years something. But then he sleeps for 4.32 million years.
It's a long time.
But then again he wakes up and he keeps doing this. So you are also doing the same thing. Every night you go to sleep, every morning you get up. And every morning when you get up, you are not a different person, you are still the same. Who slept, the house is same, the people are same, the relationships are same. So you think it is any different from Brahmaji? You think it's any different from Shiva? It's the same. This is from the highest standpoint I am talking. If I talk to a devotee, I will not speak this language. Because he will not be able to digest it.
No, I just was under that. The two came together. The person.
Who are the two came together?
I mean, the person who is a Vedantist
Huh.
they would end up exactly the same, the two, because they would understand.
This we say for their benefit.
Ah.
We say it for their benefit. But you analyze what I have said with what practices we are doing, the meditation that we are doing. You can understand this. You try to explain this to a devotee, he doesn't want to know. No, my God, my God, my God. Go. He merges into God, no doubt about it. He merges into the divine. But that reality which is there, that reality that he has taken as Krishna, Rama, whatever, that is still like what we say. If a wave realizes, puts its attention on the ocean and says, oh, I am one with the ocean, then it will remain as ocean, isn't it? Whatever may happen. If it says, I want to become one with the essence of the ocean, then the question is then the answer is different. Then it is water. Water is the unmanifest.
So someone like
And the manifest is at two levels. One is at the individual and one is the total. So we become one with the total manifest when we merge into the Lord, whatever form you are taking. Yes.
So Ramakrishna, who wanted to merge with Mother Kali,
He did.
was he?
What did he do? What did Totapuri Maharaj ask him to do?
But even on his deathbed, the disciples were saying, ask the Holy Mother to let you be able to eat. And he went and he went back a couple of times and they said, did you ask him? He said, no, I forgot, I got immersed in the bliss. And then finally he came back and he said that Mother Kali had said, but I'm feeding you through all these devotees.
So what has happened?
So was he still...
No, so now what has happened? Just like, remember in the last class we talked about having realized, what do? Do you waste your life? No, you become a force to reckon with in the life. You are acting, you are proactive in life. And you become an example of how to act in life, isn't it? So when you realize the impersonal God, the Brahman, then what do? You still have got the body, you still have got, but to live in this relative realm, they use, because he started that way, he went with Kali. So he says, yeah, Kali is everything. So people are saying that. What is he saying? He is not saying anything like that. He is not hungry, he is not this, he is immersed in the bliss. So when any master you take, when he comes, he doesn't say, oh, Brahman did this, Brahman did that. They will never say Brahman did this, Brahman did that, because Brahman cannot do anything. Oh, it's the Lord's doing, isn't it? And who is this Lord? It is because you are seeing an individual and there is an individual mind. That mind gets surrendered to the total mind. Now this Mahatma who has come to realize himself, when he is manifesting in this creation, he is only not even identified. He is expressing as the total mind, not the individual. And as a total mind, you cannot make any decisions. Because imagine, what is the total mind? What is the Om Sahasra Shirsha Purushaha Sahasraksha Sahasrapat? The total mind with the total body, with the total number of arms, with the total infinite number of legs, hands, eyes, heads. What will be the experience? Can't explain. So, like Shirdi Sai Baba says, if someone eats, I feel full. This is the experience. That's what Mahatma also said. You said, Ramakrishna Paramahansa said, that I don't feel hungry. Feed it to everyone and I'm happy. It cannot be but any other way. Why? Because you are all pervasive. You think your hunger is going to satisfy by you eating? No. You are identified. If one rat also eats something, your stomach is full. This is the secret that will be revealed. Both the impersonal and the personal have to be known. You can't say like action as well as No. The path of action and the path of meditation, both had to be done. First do the path of action to purify, then do the meditation and then transcend. But after transcending, again come down and do the path of action in this world. That's what we see masters doing. Jesus came, he went to seek himself, he found himself, and again he came back. He didn't have to, but he came. Same thing with our Adi Shankaracharya. Adi Shankaracharya, by the age of 16, he had realized. He said, and the word was out that he will live only for 16 years. But the moment, and he was writing the commentaries, he finished, he was ready. He says, now it's time. The teacher came, Ved Vyasji came. He says, no, your time is not up yet. Now that you know yourself, now go and spread. Spread meaning go and share. Not conversion, share. And so he spent another 16 years sharing the Vedanta philosophy with everyone, and that was a revival of culture, because that time the Niscience was prevalent. Buddhism has reached after reaching its pinnacle, Buddhism was on its way down. And any culture, when it reaches its peak, it starts getting corrupted. And it was getting corrupted. That's the time Adi Shankaracharya came. Then the same thing happened. Shankaracharya went away, but the so-called Pandits, they become arrogant in their own knowledge. following Vedanta. Then the next teacher came. He said, no, devotion. Again a new revival was brought about by Ramanujacharya. Then Madhavacharya, then Vallabhacharya. And it goes on. And today so many other masters are there. So we see, after knowing, they continue to act in life. And when they are acting, where is their attention? Is their attention on the people? Is their attention on... They are not deciding, they are not judging, they are not blaming, they are not wanting, they are not planning, nothing. Planning maybe, yes, but everything is happening intuitively through them. They don't decide, I have to do this or I have to do that. If as a result of the total will, because they are identified with the total mind, so as a result of the total will, if something expresses, so be it. It's got nothing to do with me. If it has come, it will fulfill itself. This body is just a means.
When you say to go back to the self, when I try to do that, there's just a feeling of me. Is that feeling of me is what gets swallowed up into the light, into more of the self any wider? Making sense? When you say go back to the self all the time, I can only feel me. Even if I drop thoughts and everything else, it's just this feeling of me. Is the total me, when that me goes, widens out into the total, it is still me?
It's like this, you open the door and this space goes out and widens out into the total space.
Yeah.
But that's foolish. Because the space outside and the space inside is the same. How can it widen out somewhere? If self is the only thing that there is, it is all pervasive, where will it widen out?
Something's missing and I can't quite put it.
Where will it widen out? Don't look for an experience to take place. Don't look for an experience. This habit of objectifying the reality has to be dropped. So the light is becoming very bright. Is the self becoming very bright? We use the word self is the illuminator. Oh, I think I am becoming the self because the light is becoming glowing and glowing and glowing. No. The smoke, if this room is full of smoke, it goes out, you can feel the smoke going out and spreading out, like we yesterday saw the mist coming in. But mist is not space. Can you ever have an experience of space expanding? Can you have? Even if you break these walls down and open the doors, you still will not have the experience of space expanding. So can you have the experience of self, which is the substratum of the space? Can you have the self expanding? It's impossible, because self is the only thing that there is. So in this, so Sambhuti is choosing and therefore the becoming of a life defined, and Asambhuti is cessation of all undivine activities pursued when living as a helpless slave to thousand mad passions. And this way, here we can take it that way. I have taken it in a little bit different manner, where Asambhuti is the impersonal, impersonal is the nothingness or absence. And this way, the word used here is vinasha. Vinasha. And the word vinash means vinashena mrityum tirtva sambhutya mridam ashnute. Vinashena, Here vinash means to vinash. The seeker attains to vinash. Vinash means every residual impression in his mind has come to be destroyed. Vinash means destruction. And destruction of this, of everything, is liberation. So when you are saying that when we are doing meditation, Om, gap, Om. What is that gap? That is vinash. Why? There is nothing to hold on to. There is nothing more to remove. You cannot remove the emptiness. You cannot remove the nothingness. You can remove Om, yes. You can remove Om by taking some other name. Om Shri, I use Shri. And Om, I can remove Teresa by taking the name of Joy. I can replace it. But can you remove or replace emptiness? Just like you cannot remove or replace the space, same way emptiness also cannot be removed. And therefore this is the vinash of everything that was in there. And there is no other name for, and this vinash, another name for liberation is total destruction. Total destruction is liberation. But you have to be conscious of that total destruction. Because first we destroyed the world, meaning we don't become aware of the world. Then we destroyed the body, meaning we have got no attachment to the body. Then we destroy the breath, meaning we do not get identified with the breath. Then destruction of the mind, meaning that whether there are thoughts or no thoughts, we do not get disturbed. This is the destruction of the mind. So presence as well as the absence, both were concepts of the mind, isn't it? Unmanifest and manifest, both are concepts of the mind. But the witness is separate to both. When the witness does not react, does not get disturbed by the presence, by the manifest or the absence, the unmanifest, this is called vinash. This is called liberation. This is called mukti. This is called realization. Coming to the witness. All these different words, we are already practicing all that on the seat of meditation. But even more, a new way of looking at it. Life presents itself every moment in newer and newer ways. And Upanishads and scriptures continue to present us newer and newer ways of looking at it. And in this manner, these three stanzas, the 12th, 13th and 14th, they are an evidence in the Upanishad to show that the Upanishad seers were not in any sense of the terms opposed to the belief, faith and devoted pursuit of a personal God. See? When we say Vedanta doesn't believe in God, that to a Vedanti we should not talk about a personal God. No. Proper placement is necessary of everything. So in this manner, this idea is concluded. And now we go on to the 15th verse. The next 4 mantras are the prayers offered. What are these prayers offered? This is the 6th wave. So we just concluded the 5th wave with the 6 verses. Now the 6th wave will begin from verse 15 to 17. Hiranmayena patrena satyasyapi hitam mukham tattvam pushanna pavrunu satya dharmaya drishtaye. We'll look at this and conclude the Upanishad in the next class. Well, not conclude the Upanishad, we'll conclude ourselves in the next class. What arrogance that we conclude the Upanishad. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnah पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ The idea is clear, no? What I explained? Hope I didn't confuse with the ignorance, knowledge, and then that was the first pair. Second was karma and upasana, action and what you call single pointedness, path of meditation, path of action, then knowledge and devotion, personal and impersonal, manifest and unmanifest. They are all the same pairs but different names. Hope that was clear.
There's one thing I'm not clear on once again.
Yeah.
When I'm in meditation, I'm doing my arms and watching the space in between.